conversation on adaptation and mitigation strategies in processing and packaging, which actually exposes participants to in-depth adaptation and mitigation strategies across processing and packaging value chain. So quickly, we would just want to have the participant sharing session. Which part of this module stood out for you if you have gone through the module? If you have gone through module 3, which part of it stood out for you? Was it exciting? How was it? We really want you to share. You are here and you want to share an experience. Oh, I'm seeing one hand already. Okay, so if you want to share your experience, please raise your hand. I'm seeing one hand so that we can know how many hands we have and go ahead with it. So we have Edward. Edward, I'm asking you to unmute and speak about your experience of module 3. So Edward, okay.
Yes.
So please go ahead, Edward.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm very excited. My name is Edward S. Miawe from Liberia. I'm the founder of the Jungle Bee Production in Liberia. So, being a food processor and having love for food processing, I was very, very excited going through the course, and there's new things that I discovered. But then I have a question. So there was a point where they said that food waste can also contribute to climate change. So I want to know how food waste can contribute to climate change, or how food waste can also cause climate change.
All right, thank you, Edward. So that's actually where we have our facilitators here with us. They will actually answer that question in due course. I'm very sure they must have noted it, and when it's time for Q&A, you would have your answers. The answer that you desire, you have it eventually. So are there other persons that want to share? Is there any other person that have gone through the session that would really want to share with us their key learnings or their experience, and then what they would like to, even if it's a question like Edward has done. So, well, if you have questions, you have any other thing you think you want to share with us, let us know, and we'll give you the opportunity to do that. Okay, I'm seeing another, and 10B Silly. I hope I mentioned it well, but if I did not, please forgive me. So I'm asking you to unmute and let us know. Please go ahead. If you are speaking, I can barely hear you. We cannot hear you.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, yes, we can hear you now. Hello. Yes, yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tamsima.
Hello, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, I'm from Eswatini. I'm a farmer, so I do vegetables, and I'm also into agro-processing, where from some of the vegetables, I do acha and sauces. So module 3 for me has been very, very, I learned new things which I didn't know. So, or like when you are like into processing, so you will never think that there is a way it can contribute to climate change. So it was just a very mind-opening in, and about the what was interesting again was the learning how to use eco-friendly packaging and labeling, and how to storage methods. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing, and that's actually well appreciated. I'm sure the facilitators know that they made impact with the videos and the training that they did. Thank you so much. Is there any other person that wants to share? Okay, I'm not sure there's any other hand. So we'll just continue. And then, oh, is there any other hand raised? Safe Live. Oh, okay. Oh, please, the last. Oh, Saifullah and Elvis. There's Elvis, there's Saifullah. Okay, the two of you then. Let's just quickly have in less than 1 minute share. So we'll go with why is it Saifullah? I can't really find him anymore. Okay, Elvis, I'm asking you to unmute and go ahead.
Okay, greetings to everyone. Nice being here again, yet in another session. Yeah, about today's session, I will actually want to know more because I'm from Cameroon and our practices, we encourage sustainable organic agricultural practices, especially through our means where we train local farmers on how to produce organic liquid manure, and then wheat cultivation, which is just being introduced to the northwest side, this side of the country of Cameroon. I would actually want to learn more on processing and packaging, on how to really, as we are cultivating that wheat with our local farmers, we actually have expertise in the value chain and do it in a better way.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elvis. Thank you. That's actually why we'll have the Q&A session. You can easily just ask your questions when that time comes. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. Okay, Saifullah is no longer here, but we still have Joseph. Okay, Joseph, you can just go ahead and share. So I'm asking Joseph to unmute. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Joseph from Kenya, whereby I'm an agronomist, and currently I'm also one of the food value addition producers, where I'm doing dryland farming, and I participate in packaging of the green grams and also some of the vegetables like onions and tomatoes. And currently in Kenya, we have been hit by a climate change because 70% of the arable land is covered by water. So I think this session will be helpful for us because we'll focus on how to combat all the mitigation measures pertaining when hit by this problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you so much, Joseph. So when it's time for questions and answers, I'm sure the answers that has to do with packaging thing that you just talked about. So thank you so much. Please, can you mute now? Can you mute yourself now, please? Okay. So just like we did last week, we want to quickly unveil our top scholars for the week. So this week we have some top scholars that we really would like to unveil. You can see them on the screen. If you are seeing yourself there, maybe you should just give us like an emoji or some, or like a wave or something to say, yeah, I made it as a top scholar this week. And again, if you're not there yet, you may likely just get there next week. So appreciate the people that are here this week. So the first person, in no particular order, right? So we have Bashiru Adamu from Nigeria. We have Seidu Mariam Mankio from Ghana. We have Kitsin Muiti Gigunda. I just hope I mentioned it correctly, from Kenya. We have Christine Kamala from Kenya. We have Joseph Mawiu Katiku from Kenya as well. Then we have Niyigena Samuel, yeah, from Rwanda. We have Sebabatso Maseyane from Lesotho. We have Sangoyinka John from Nigeria. We have Martin Hemnanji from Kenya. We have Evans Komani from Malawi. We have Kenneth Kintinji Moriti from Kenya. So please let's give this one a round of applause. let's cheer them up in the comment section to say, yeah, you made it as a top scholar this week. I'm going to be a top scholar next week. So if you know you want to be a top scholar next time, you want us to announce you should just appreciate these ones that are here already. So thank you so much. So the criteria for being a top scholar, like some of you have asked, is basically criteria for us to be a top scholar is basically to, first of all, get the highest score in your assessment, after which you must attend live interactive session. So it is possible that from the assessment on the portal, you're seeing that you had a very high score and then your name is there as a top scholar. We'll have to now tally it with the live interactive session. So if you did not participate in the live interactive session, you may not be able to come up as a top scholar. And again, if you are participating in the live interactive session, use your name so that when we are doing the collation, we'll see you. Please use your name to log in to the Zoom session. So thank you so much, and let's give a round of applause again to these wonderful top scholars for this week. Hope to see you next week again with another set of top scholars. So moving ahead, we'll quickly get to the speaker's presentation. This is the part where the speakers, you would get to hear from the trainers. I'm sure you recognize them from the modules that you looked at from the portal. For as many of us that have gone through the modules in the portal already, you must have seen these faces already. So they are here, they are available to answer your questions this afternoon. So the first person that we'll have is Richie Lamini. So Richie Lamini is a forward-thinking agri-industry consultant, bringing over 17 years of expertise in agro-processing development and project implementation for emerging farming and agro-processing sector businesses in Eswatini and KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Lamini has extensive land reform experience, which involved the transfer of land to previously disadvantaged communities and individuals in the South African sugar industry, cultivates rapport with individuals to optimize project goals and outputs, resolve complex problems and deliver innovative improvement strategies, proficient in strategic planning and business development. More recently, Lamini has mobilized women in the crafting arena to respond to the demand for bespoke fashion ranges with an emphasis on crochet, knitting, and beadwork. So with a round of applause in the comment section, with some cheers in the comment section, let's welcome Richie Lamini to take the floor. So Richie, thank you so much for being here, and I will just hold on for you to continue from here. Please, you can take over.
Good afternoon. I hope we are all in the afternoon. Thank you for a warm welcome, and thank you for the opportunity to present. It has been an interesting journey to work with AFC, and the whole thing of adaptation mitigation is close to my heart, because I have historically worked on projects that were meant to reduce industrial waste. The first time I encountered this was when I worked on my fourth year project when I studied at Gwaloseni campus in Swaziland. We worked by production of biogas from industrial waste from a pineapple processing factory. Anyone from Eswatini will know that. At that point, it was called SARICAN. It is now called, I think, Rhodes Food Group. So thank you very much for this opportunity. So adaptation involves many things. It also involves, for example, the gentleman talked about 70% of their land being covered with water. There has to be, obviously, collaboration with the agricultural engineers on how do we put in drainage in our lands. For those who have had access to large sugarcane plantations, which we have in Eswatini, They have a whole unit that deals with just drainage on their sugar lands to make sure that anytime there's too much rain, or because they control their irrigation, anytime there's too much rain, they control the runoff and they direct the runoff into the canal or into storage dams. So those are some of the mitigation measures you can put in place. And one of the things that was raised was food waste and how it impacts the environment. If you take food waste to a solid waste dump, what will happen is as it starts to rot, it heats up. Fermentation, if you were fermenting anything in your kitchen, you would see you have bubbles, there will be heat generated. But if you have large masses of food waste, you really have significant heat. So what you want to do with food waste, you want to compost it. Then you can use the compost in your production system, which reduces your costs, and it also reduces the impact on the environment. But in reducing your impact on the environment, you are invariably reducing your costs. So you win twice. That's why we encourage it. And unless, of course, at the solid waste dump, the municipal authorities have put in infrastructure to harvest the methane gas that gets produced so that it can be channeled and used, then you really are just emitting methane gas into the atmosphere, which is not useful. You want to harness that, harvest it off, channel it to establishments that will use it as alternative energy for their cooking or heating, and then you have a closed system. So those are some of the things that we would encourage. Obviously, for larger solid waste dump, it's a significant investment that a municipality would have to do, or a structure running a city. They would have to have significant money to then put in those resources and infrastructure. So it does take time. The less we put into the solid waste dump in our individual capacity, collectively, we reduce the burden on the solid waste dump. So those are some of the options that we have available. But yes, I am here to take questions and ready to do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachie. Thank you so much for that insight. So I'm sure many of the participants will have questions to ask and all that. But I think before we should go into Q&A, we should just get both speakers' presentation first, and then so that when we get into Q&A, it will just be Q&A and not us coming back to the presentation. So I will just quickly go ahead and share my screen again, and so that I can introduce our next speaker, and then go ahead to the questions and answers. So just to quickly do this. So the next person we have is Atinuke. So Atinuke Lepile is a dynamic individual driven by a passion to combat malnutrition and food insecurity through the agricultural sector and its value chain. With a wealth of experience spanning over 9 years in the agriculture value chain, food processing and innovation, she stands as an accomplished agribusiness entrepreneur. Atinuke is the co-founder and CEO of Cattle Foods, a food processing company dedicated to addressing malnutrition and eating hunger through the utilization of biofortified staple crops. Additionally, she is the founder of She Agric Initiative, an NGO that empowers and encourages young women to participate in the agricultural value chain and agribusiness. As a respected nutrition and biofortification ambassador for Harvest Plus, Atinuke advocates for the consumption of nutrient-rich and healthy foods, particularly in rural areas where malnutrition is prevalent. Her commitment extends beyond her ventures, as she serves on the advisory board of Rural Innovation Network, a social enterprise based in the United States. Atinuke Lebile holds a degree in agricultural science from the University of Ilorin, Nigeria. She has also acquired certificates in business and entrepreneurship from Purdue University, USA, and enterprise management from the Enterprise Development Center at Lagos Business School, Nigeria. Noteworthy accomplishments includes being an alumnus of Faith Foundation, a global ambassador for a World at School 2015 Global Alliance for Youth Leadership, a 2016 Fellow of Young Africans Initiative, RFC, West Africa, a 2017 Mandela Washington Fellow, a 2017 and 2018 Leap Africa Fellow, and a 2019 Emerging Leader recognized by the School Foundation. Atinuke possesses an unwavering passion for business and entrepreneurship and a commitment to youth and women empowerment. She thrives on addressing critical issues surrounding malnutrition, particularly among children and women, as well as promoting food security and agricultural value additions. So with a resounding clap in the comment section, let's just welcome Atinuke as she takes over the virtual podium. So let's share our next facilitator up. So Atinuke, you're welcome. Over to you if you are on the call already.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Can you confirm that you can hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear
Sorry,
you.
I was answering. Sorry, I was answering. I can hear you, Atinuke. Please go ahead. Sorry about that.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so beautiful to be here, and thanks to African Food Filmmakers for the opportunity to be here. So let me just go to the topic and just speak a little about what we have to do before we start answering questions. Now, talking about the adaptation and mitigation strategies in food processing and packaging. As much as we are in the value chain of food processing or food packaging, we should also know that in as much we're trying to reduce food harvest losses in food, food waste and all, we should also know that there are ways that if we're not being careful, we contribute to climate change. And we can see that the climate change in Nigeria is something that's really becoming, not even Nigeria, in Africa, because I had somebody talking about his country, the climate change issue in his country, waterlogged land and all that. We should know that climate change issue is becoming critical, not in Africa, even beyond. And so even in the sector that we have as a food processor, a food packaging, or whatever sector you are in agriculture, you should know that there are ways that your operation could contribute to the climate change effect. And here we're looking at how can we adapt, how can we mitigate this effect. And that is one of the things I'll be talking about briefly on food processing and packaging, right? And we should know that in as much that you're involved in food processing, you are involved in using machinery. There are some machinery that you use that contributes to the green gas emission, that contributes to global warming in food processing. So in as much that you're trying to reduce this food harvest losses, then you're also contributing to global warming through green gas emission, and this is one of the things that, one of the major things in food processing. Now, also, we are looking at waste reduction from production. The waste we generate from our processing in food production, depending on what you are processing as an individual. Like, let me use the guide I was talking about, onions the other time. The waste that you generate from your onions, what is it used for? Because if it's not properly managed, it can contaminate the air through when it's decaying, just like what the first speaker talked about fermentation now. When this one is decaying, the air that it's being exposed to in the environment. It also contaminates the water. It also contaminates land, right? So whatever aspect you have in processing, you should also understand that how can you reduce the waste that you generate, or how can you dispose the waste that you generate properly, or how can you reprocess the waste that you generate in your processing, maybe into another product for maybe animals or for biogas or just like that. Because I saw someone's comment, I was saying that, oh, okay, all these things I've done into brisket and all that. So try to know that, okay, those are the ways I generate in my food processing. How can I reduce them, or how can I dispose them properly, or how can I reprocess them into another product that will be useful and that will not make it contribute negatively to the environment. Another aspect that we don't always look into in food processing and packaging is distribution and transportation systems, right? Yes, the question will now be, are you telling us not to distribute our product? I'm not saying that, but you know that in your distribution and transportation of both your raw materials and your food final product, the gas that your vehicle emits into the environment, you know what is wrong. So this is why you have to look at, okay, how can I maximize my transportation or distribution system, or how can I collaborate with someone else in this area that
power on.
that
Bluetooth
we can
pairing.
also maximize the usage of the vehicle. Now let's also talk about in the area of food, of your packaging materials. And this is when we know that most of the packaging materials that we use are either nylon, polymers, and all these things. Now, this is where we should be looking at eco-friendly packaging materials. I know that there are various different packaging materials for different food products, depending on the type of food product that you are processing, right? Right. So, but in as much that you are also considering different packaging materials for different food products, you're also looking at, okay, so how can I make my packaging materials more friendly, environmental friendly, or is it something that can be reused, right? In even my home that would reduce the effect of my packaging materials in the environment, put the effect of packaging in the environment. Also, let us also look at, I know that once you are designing your packaging materials, once it's beautiful, colorful, so attractive and all that, we should also be looking at how can we reduce the color or the number of colors in our packaging materials, because the paint or the things that are being used in this color also contribute to the environment, depending on the numbers of color that are used in the packaging materials. We don't think about this, but there are small things that we just need to look at into to see how we can make our processing eco-friendly and sustainable. Then in our processing machines that we use, that some of them contribute to greenhouse gas emission, we should be looking at using advanced technology processing that can make our work faster, that can reduce the hour of your production, that it will reduce even the carbon that you release to the environment. If it's something that you just have to use a machine that emits carbon, okay, why not look at advanced technology processing line that can also make the work faster and also reduce the processing time. And now this is also very important in your power source that you use in process. Right? We know that mostly in Africa, especially in Nigeria, for us in people, we're looking at most of the power source that we have. But we know that the effect of generating the carbon that will lead to even the everything. So how can we reduce our processing like by using advanced technology? Then how is it possible for us eco-friendly energy source like solar powers, and like that. Let's just invest in energy efficient technologies. So I think with that, let me stop here so that I can take some questions. And I realized that I gave some case studies and some assignments, which if you actually look at them very well, you'll be able to look at those companies. I actually use those companies because there are most of the companies that we have that are very popular. And one way or the other, they've been able to adapt and mitigate the climate change issues that we're facing. So actually, I intentionally gave that assignment so that we could also learn from what they've been doing and what they are also doing better. Thank you very much. So that I can take questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Atinike. Thank you for all of that insight. I can see that people are already raising their hands to ask questions. So we'll just quickly go ahead so that we don't waste too much time, and we'll be able to get value from all of this. So quickly, I will just start with Augustine. Augustine, you are raising your hand, so please unmute and ask your question.
All right. Oh, thank you. Good afternoon to everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon. We can hear you.
So my name is Augustine from Monrovia. But before I ask my questions, I think the second presenter has some difficulties because participants of the group, almost all of them, they now mute themselves. Too many disturbances in the background. That's my first observation.
Okay, so you were saying there were too many disturbances in the background. That's not supposed to be a question, that's a comment, right?
Yeah, so that's it, not question is our observations. I just want to register it before I can ask my question.
Okay, so that's noted already. So I've tried to mute everyone so that all of that obstructions does not come in again going forward. So please, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, so my question has to do with in terms of packaging, and the presenter did talk about doing a food processing using eco-friendly material. Good, but what if you are involved in an agricultural activities that has to do with some unfriendly using some eco-unfriendly materials like plastic? In the case of me, I am involved with oil palm production, and sometimes we use plastic to do some packaging. Are you getting me?
Hello.
Hello?
Please, can you go over that question again? I'm not sure we got that question. There was an alteration. Please,
Yes.
mute
Okay. So my
yourselves,
question,
please.
yeah. So I'm muted. I'm
No, you
unmuted.
can go ahead. Yes,
So
you
my
can go ahead.
question. Okay. So my question is the last presenter talked about doing a packaging with eco-friendly material, good, which is hard.
If you are still talking, Augustine, you are now muted. Please unmute yourself. Is that network or what happened? Okay, so that we don't waste too much time, when Augustine comes back, we'll allow him ask his question. So the next person is Ngede Dan. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I'm not talking to you, Samuel. I said, I did two. There's Ngbede Dan. Is it the same person?
No, no.
Oh, please, I said Ngbede Dan, not you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, presenters. I would really love to ask with regards to processing and packaging of our agri products. The concept of this what do you call it? Reusable or degradable packaging. It's very, very essential, very, very important, especially with regards to the fact that most of us, and even in the rural areas where we do most of our production, they are used to the conventional way of packaging, using leather, for example, polythenes. So I want to ask, please, any of the presenters can take it, please. How is the acceptability of this reusable or degradable packaging, especially with regards to maybe using paper packaging? You know, when you go outside in the developed world, and presently, even though in some cities in Nigeria, they will be using this paper packaging to maybe pack meat and pack some groceries. So I want to ask, what is the acceptability of this method of packaging and of packaging in our rural community? I've not tried it.
Okay, so Atinuke or Rechi, would you want to attempt the question? Atinuke or Rechi, anyone available, please, you can just unmute and attempt the question.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, Dan, for the question. So for biodegradable packaging materials or paper packaging material, the acceptability now depends, like I said earlier. I said now you have to know the type of packaging materials that work for your food product, right? There are packaging materials that your food products you have to take a silver lining packaging material, or there are some that you just have to be normal plastic, or there are some that you can use paper. Now, for the paper, if you look at some packaging materials that they are paper packaging material, but are lined inside so that whatever you put inside is not being easily disposed, which are, if properly designed and depending on design that you have, is beautiful and is acceptable, right? Because I've had clients coming to me and sending me some samples of paper packaging material that are beautiful, and they're looking at where they could get them. So in that regard, it is something that is acceptable, right? Now, even if you want to use nylons, and that is why all those nylons, polymers and all that, Ziplocs and all. Now, these ones have different microns. And what do I mean by microns? That it depends on the thickness of those nylons. So you have to look at your product. If your product does not require 10 microns for thickness, if your product only requires 2 microns, then go for 2 microns. Even if that is if you don't have any other alternative than to use the nylons or the leathers or the Ziplocs, right? So if your packaging if your food products only require 2 microns, then go for 2 microns. Then you don't need to go for 10 microns, because the higher the microns, the higher the damage of that you are doing to the plant, to the environment. Because by the time your customers or your clients use what they want to use and get disposed in the environment, it takes more than 700 years for it to get decayed. So now it all depends on how thick your nylon is. So as a food processor yourself, you can get paper packaging materials that are properly lined, like a Okay, so what I'm going to do is get some pictures, send to the organizers if they can share with you to see some paper packaging materials that you also look into and get your idea for, right? So they're acceptable. They're really, really acceptable for reusable ones. Now, for reusable ones, it can only be reused in homes and not you as the processor, right? Because I won't advise that, especially when it has to be nylon that you use. There's no how a client will return a nylon to you or a Ziploc to you. So it can only be used in their homes, not you. Do you understand? So I think I've been able to answer your question, Dan. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Atinuke. Thank you. So quickly just go to the next person, Joseph Tatiku. Please, you can unmute and ask your question.
Yes, my question
Hello.
is on collecting these packaging materials.
Hello, Joseph.
Is friendly. Oh.
Your
Hello?
audio is not very clear. We can barely hear you. It's cracking. So maybe you can go over your question again.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now, please.
And the factors that we consider when determining
your audio
the
is
product.
not very clear, Joseph. Your audio is not very clear. So we're struggling to hear you as it's cracking. Maybe you can just find a better position and... Can you hear me? Okay, so please go ahead and ask your question. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, I'm asking, which factors can we consider
Talked again.
the packaging materials
can we consider
when determining the packaging materials, bearing in mind some of the areas we are in, the temperatures are so high such that they can be affected, or they can lead the products to
Okay, so Joseph, if I got you were asking that what factors can we consider when determining packaging materials, considering the locations that we have and the difference in temperature that can affect products. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Joseph? Okay, all right. So
they are mushy. I'm saying some of the areas, the temperatures are high.
We can barely hear you. Maybe
Others
you can
you
just
find
type in the chat box and then I would read the question out. It's your network, your audio is not clear.
Okay.
All right. So please let's quickly go to the next person, Elvis. But I'll check the comment section to see whether you have dropped your question and I'll read it out for the facilitators. So Elvis, please kindly ask your question. Elvis, please unmute. Yeah, thank you. So please go ahead and ask.
Thank you. Thanks once more. Yeah, I would like to appreciate our speakers and the last one who made mention of reusable and biodegradable packaging. Yeah, what I want to put in first is like for instance with us, since we produce organic liquid manure using Citronella diversifolia and animal dung, we only need to use strong plastics that does not change in size. That is when we package the liquid, the processing still goes on, and it also causes increase in the sizes of those containers and the rest. Now, our challenge in the reusable side of it is at times it changes the sizes and makes it difficult for measurement when next packaging. And now, since we are based in the rural areas, recycling to us becomes a problem. So at the same time, as we use them and they become a little bit bigger in size, what we do is we still do encourage household gardening with such containers that are maybe lost their shape or their actual quantities, the measurement they have. So we encourage that we deviate from using it to package another liquid manure in it to do another thing with it, that is maybe growing plants on those inside those plastics. Secondly, about the biodegradable packages that we use with the value chain for wheat production, where we do patch wheat, we do whole wheat flour, we do the whole wheat, the flour itself, we do sprouted wheat flour in those packages. We also have a challenge where she made mention of, as you know, of colors, the eco-friendly nature of colors. That one is new to me, and it somehow I still have a worry in it. That how do you know which label you need to put to your package so that it is eco-friendly, and which because with the stickers we used to stick to our products that we produce, I don't think they are biodegradable, and to print on a biodegradable sticker, it's something I've not noticed. And then the colors too, like she made mention of, that is where I have a great worry. So how can I use, if I know I'm using this color, how eco-friendly is it? How does it appreciate nature and the rest? Because I also know that when you advertise something that reflects nature, that when someone sees, it's like it's bright to the person. It reminds the person about our green nature. It encourages and lures the person to want to consume what natural you have produced and packaged in that. Thank you.
All right, I think this question is specific to Atinuke. Atinuke, if you were there.
All right. Thank you, Evan, for the questions. They're great questions. Now, taking it from your first question on you using plastics bottles for your packaging, and sometimes this can cause an expansion of the packaging materials in the bottles, the container. Talking about reusing them. Now, is this something that you can devise like a point of sales system or a retail point system? And why do I say this? Right? In as much that there are times that you sell your product, people that are far away, and that there are some people that also get a product that are very close to you. Now you say you're in the rural area. Now, is it possible for people that are in the same rural area with you come back with their plastic to buy? Now, to buy in the form that you already have like a measurement form. You just need to turn into their own plastic that they bring to buy. That you don't need to give them a new plastic. You already have like a way that you measure your liters, or per kg or per liter of what you produce. I'm very sure that you have a measuring line or measuring thing that you use, right? Is it possible for you to devise like a retail point system or a point of sales point system where they come with their plastics that they've gotten from you, and just use your measuring and just the way the petrol stations or Oh yeah, those petrol, diesel, sell and sell to them. Is it possible? Sometimes it's possible. If you cannot go that way, you can also get like a measuring container that you can use for that. I think that will also encourage them. That will also reduce the cost of your product for them. If you make it even cost effective for them, because they're bringing back their containers to buy from you. But if you're sending far away, it's something that once they buy, you can always advise them on how to dispose them properly. Now, on the issue of color for your packaging material, for your stickers. Now, why I'm saying color is, if you look at some stickers of some packaging materials, you can see like 6 colors, 7 colors, different colors on those stickers. I'm not saying that you should not make your sticker attractive, but is it possible to reduce the number of colors that you use on your packaging material, your materials or your stickers? So in an instance where you're using 5 colors, is it possible for you to use 3 colors? We know that we're talking about eco-friendly and sustainability, we're talking about maybe green, we're talking about sky blue, that kind of those colors. But in food processing, we always have, maybe from the business of school, we always thought of have a little touch of red to make it attractive. So is it something that if you're using 3 colors and you know that you can use 2 colors and still make it more attractive, please, you can turn that 2 colors and make it more attractive, because those paints spend an average of more than 100 years to get properly dissolved into the environment, right? So is this something, if you're using 5, can you use it to 3? If you're using 3, can you use it to 2? Just do something that make it attractive, but you're also reducing the color of your that you use for your sticker or your packaging material. I'm not saying that you should not make it attractive, make it so beautiful, attractive, but is it possible for your designer to reduce the number of color that is being used? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Atinuke. So there is a question in the chat box. So Samuel from Kenya is asking that in food processing, is there any environmental regulations that determine type of materials that can be used? In food processing, is there any environmental regulations that determine type of materials that can be used? So maybe Rechi, are you there? Maybe you want to...
Can you repeat the question? Because I think I looked over time.
In food processing, is there any environmental regulations that determine type of materials that can be used? Did you hear me?
Okay, so yes, I get your question. Now, in Nigeria or in Africa, well, I cannot say that there is a particular regulator or regulation that says the type of packaging material that can be used, because we just use what we want to use. But if it's something that you want to export your product to Europe, to outside the country, to all those Asian countries, Europe, Dubai, US, and all those kind of, you need to understand the type of packaging material that works for them, right? You need to know what really works for those countries. Let me give an instance. That I think there was a time I was trying to export to Dubai, and I don't know if the person knows, this bag of semovita, like where you put a lot of 1 kg in a sack. So I wanted to use something like that and put like 1 kg in a sack, and it got rejected. They said you have to put it in a carton. I was looking at sack because I wanted something that is durable, that's not easily torn, I was trying to protect the product, but it said you have to use an eco-friendly carton, right? So you have to, if you're going to be looking at exporting to all those countries, then you have to look at their regulations, the regulations that backed up the type of packaging material that has been acceptable. But in Africa, for me in Nigeria, I don't think there's a regulation that is doing that now. Now that will just tell you the nutrition value, your labeling and all those things. Some will also talk about that, but not majorly about the packaging material. But I feel it's something, the change can start from us on the spot and see what we can also do to help our country, right? So thank you. And then I think there's a question also on the chat box I was saying, talking about plastic pouch for products by Ruby. Now, yes, plastic pouches are also good, but I said something the other time. I know they are powder products. Now, I said something that if your product, you have to look at, okay, how many microns, that's thickness. It's called micron, thickness is called microns in food packaging. So you need to look at, okay, how many microns is suitable for my product? So if I'm using a packaging pouch, and the packaging pouch I'm using about 10 microns, and your product does not require 10 microns, maybe your product requires just 3 microns, please go for 3 microns. Because it will help to dissolve in the environment faster than the 10 microns. So it depends on the thickness. So try to look at your product and look at, okay, 1 microns can easily good for my product, right? What is good for my product that is not too much? You can use 10, but don't use over thickness or more than the thickness of what your product can absorb. That is fine. And also, there are also paper products that can also house those powder products. Now, there are paper pouches that are just innerly sealed with a little form of plastic that you can also use. That can also help and also help to reduce the climate change effect. So I think that answers your question. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much, and thanks for
If I may add.
Okay, Reggie, yes. I was going to ask you to even answer this second question. So let me quickly read it out so that you will just answer with your comments. So this person is asking that currently in Eswatini, there is a plastic ban for all sale in supermarkets. For us, the small-scale producers, we provide it as a way to customers. Is there any strategy we can use other than providing them with plastics? So Rachel, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Just to indicate that for those who are in Southern Africa, who interact a lot with products from South Africa, they will notice that like chili sauces are placed in glass bottles simply because the product does tend to react with plastic. So they will generally use glass bottles for chili sauces and achas and so on. So it is then advisable for those things to be packaged in glass. And normally the glass is reusable unless damaged during transit. Then in terms of the plastic ban, the suppliers would need to look at reusable crates, which are, for example, like when they supply their vegetables into the supermarket, it would be best for them to take in reusable crates and then do the exchange when they come to supply again. So then the vegetables would be on the shelf without significant packaging. And then in the rural areas where distances are not long, you would want to have relationship with your clients to ask them to come with their own packaging so that you are just supplying a product. It reduces their expenses invariably, and that builds up over time, and that is also another option. But definitely in the warmer areas, because I think that was the gentleman from Kenya was asking, how do we transport products over long distance in the warmer areas? You want to use packaging that does not retain heat. Again, we're coming back to your glass for your food products and cardboard, paper, because that does not retain heat at all. And if it's a prepared food, what you want to do is you want it to be in a cold chain. Perhaps you don't have a refrigerated truck. You would want to put the products in the cold, at least minimum 5 hours, and then transport them in an insulated vehicle or insulated containers. But it's important for you to understand that in the absence of a refrigerated truck, you can only go for a maximum of 2 hours without the quality being impacted. Once you go beyond 2 hours, then you have a challenge. So you may need to disaggregate your production to be within 2 hours of the client as much as possible, or go in. If you can't purchase a refrigerated truck, you may then have to rent one. Because if you don't do that, you compromise the product. You might even have negative outcomes with your product affecting your client. So you think about that. And remember the basics in science that we were taught in school. Black attracts the most heat, white attracts the least heat, so you also want to take care of all of those things that will reduce the absorption of heat as you transmit your products. I hope that assists. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Reggie. So I'll quickly allow, okay, Chioma, please go ahead and ask your question. Your hands are raised.
Thank you so much. I'm into food processing. Thank you for this opportunity. I have a couple of questions. One is, what can we produce from waste generated from a flour processing plant? I have a flour processing factory in Nigeria. What can we use the waste generated? I have people who take it for animal feed, but I want a value-added product that we can make from the waste generated. And also, I want to know how we can find the organic means of pest control that will be more friendly to the environment. Pest control measures that are more organic and friendly to the environment. And then we have used solar system to power some of our production to make it more environment friendly. But for solar dryers, we want to change all our drying system to be powered by solar system. Are there means of getting funds to support this system so that all our drying system will be solar powered? Thank you. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. As this is a Nigeria-based question, I think Atinike should just go ahead and attend to the questions. So the first, hello, Atinike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, so for the first question on the waste we generate from flour. So what about flour? If I should ask what type of flour do you process? Is it a wheat flour or a cassava flour or something?
We have whole wheat flour, we have beans flour, we have plantain flour. We generate powder product from milling, from sieving, and other processes. So what value-added products can we get from this flour? Not necessarily for human consumption.
You have plantain, beans, and oats. Now for plantain, I think you can prove me wrong, but I think the waste you generate from plantain is maybe the peels of the plantain and maybe sieving. So just like what you said, is either you get it for animal feed, which is still part of the waste reduction, or you process them into brisket. That's like they use like a charcoal. They can be processed into brisket. The expertise in that area, we can get somebody to do that for you. So it's something that you can process them into. Yeah, for the beans, I'm very sure that it's from the peels of the beans before drying and all that, which is probably animal feed. So most of the waste we generate are probably will end up as animal feed, which can even make animal feed that can be packaged and you can resell yourself.
Okay, that's exactly what I want, because we are sending them off as animal feed to those who rear animals. But I'm thinking of a value-added product that we can also produce as animal feed.
Yeah, so that will be discussed at not in this class because it's another lecture on its own.
Okay.
Yeah, that is another lecture in its own, but just let you know that you can process them into animal feed. And the processing of putting them in animal feed is something that will be discussed later, not now.
I will appreciate if I can get your contact.
Then for the funding for your solar panels and all that, well, I don't know if African Food Chain can have big money somewhere and they can give you, and also get well. They are
Oh.
So you can just look out for companies or grant opportunities that tends towards climate change. All right, or climate resilience is something that you can actually key into or apply into for your processing. So I can't specifically tell you, oh, okay, look into this organization, look into this well, but you can talk to African Food Chain makers anyways. Okay, somebody just posted green climate funding is opening or something. So you just look out for grants.
Okay.
Can use to fund your processing. Somebody just posted one on the group chat that you can look into. Thank you, ma.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Chioma. Thank you, Atinike, for all of that. So, at African Food Chain Makers, we share opportunities, especially if you're a member and all that. So, we share opportunities every now and then, funding opportunities, grant opportunities, and all of that. So, you can just look out for our newsletter, our all the opportunities that we share. But most times, it's actually to members. So, you know, we always encourage that you become a member so that you can also benefit from some of the opportunities that we share. So please become a member. And thank you so much, Reggie. I can see that you're answering some of the questions in the comment sections. Thank you so much. That's well appreciated. So Mariam Adebayo, I'll ask that you quickly on me. So we have, after Mariam, we have Esonu. After that, we have Rose. So Mariam, you go first, please. Unmute and ask the question.
I think my question was similar to the previous question that we had. I wanted to ask about if, for example, if you realize that the waste of your products can be used for animals or other things of how it can be made into value-added products. Like, is there any like what's the best approach to getting out value-added products from that? Is there like an agency that we can work with? So that was my question.
Atinike, did you hear the question, or Richie?
No, it was not clear to me. Perhaps she can type it.
Okay, please, Maria, you may have to repeat yourself again. I actually didn't hear too, so I thought maybe it was just from my hand. Your network was really shaky, so please, maybe you can actually get a clearer position and let's hear you clearly. We didn't hear you. Mariam.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was trying to unmute myself, but
it's even worse now.
Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Can you hear me clearly? Yes, can you hear me clearly?
Okay, I think I can manage. Oh yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So I wanted to ask, my question was similar to the previous question.
I cannot hear at So maybe you can just type the question on the comments section. Seriously, it's really, I can't hear you at all. Maybe you can just type it on the comment section. So please, Sonu, please go ahead and ask your question while I look out for maybe some questions, and I'll read it out. Hello, can anyone hear me in the room? Mariam was talking when I think my own network even went off as well, so I couldn't hear her. Oh, okay. So I think she's in the comment section now. Let me quickly read that question out. I wanted to find out if there are agencies that we can work with to get value-added products from our production wastes. To get value-added product from our production waste. I think Atinuke already explained that, how you can get value-added products from what you are producing and all of that. Or is there any other question? Okay, you said agencies that you can work with. Maybe you can find that online. Or Atinuke, do you know agencies that they can work with to get value-added products? Let me make it open. So Atinuke, are you on the call? Or Rechi?
Yes, it's a service that I provide for my business.
Okay.
As an agro-processing incubation person, that is a service that I extend. So I am available for her to make contact with me, and we can work. Normally, the clients work with me for a 3-month period, and everything works out from there. They learn a lot, and they put in place a lot of strategies in their businesses, and then they move forward. So I'm available for that. They can contact me through you. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So please reach out to me, and I will share Rechi's email with you. Thank you so much, Rechi. Thank you so much. So we have just 2 last questions, and that will be all. Please don't raise your hand again. Thank you. Sonu, please ask your question. I'm asking you to unmute and quickly ask your question.
Thank you very much. I would just, or rather, I'm trying to respond to this issue of value addition from waste. I'm very much interested in the lady that is processing potato into flour. The peel, the potato peel, is very important for us in the crop production, because I'm both in production and processing, and I produce potato, orange flesh sweet potato particularly. The plantain peel has a lot of potassium, and that is a very serious organic manure for crops. So it can actually be made either liquid or dry into granules. So on their own side as a factory, they can just quickly spread out the peels dry and grind it into granules. I may not recommend for them to put into a basin or bucket to ferment, to turn it into liquid, which is also liquid organic manure. But I just want to say that that is a very, for us, we need, particularly there are some crops you'll be growing and you need to add sufficient potassium for their fruiting or for their tuberine. So that is one area they can look at. You can actually process your potato, your plantain peel into manure, into organic fertilizer. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Sonu. Thank you so much. That's actually like another value that you have added. So Chioma, I think you might want to reach out to Sonu to connect and get more information around what he's just talked about. about processing your plantain waste and all that. So I'll recommend that you reach out and connect to better do what you were doing more effectively. So thank you so much, Isono. I appreciate that. We appreciate that so much. So the last question is from Joseph Katiku. So please, Joseph, I think you have asked the question before, but yes, you can go ahead. This is the last question. Thank you. Go ahead and ask the question. I'm asking you to unmute. Please unmute.
Yeah, my opinion. Hello. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, my point is just not a question. Is something to add on the value addition about the potato peels, like that lady who has said she's in the value chain of the Irish potato about the peels. About this issue of making the charcoal briquettes, I think the potato peels once dried and they are made into powder, they are good binders, so we can utilize that waste of the potatoes as a binder when making the charcoal briquettes. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. So for the charcoal briquettes and all of that, we actually have we'll be inviting a facilitator in the coming days that will also be talking around that. So thank you so much for that, Joseph.
Thank you.
Oh God, I said that is the last question, but now I'm seeing Rose. Okay, Rose tried to ask a question before. Please just go ahead. We couldn't hear you initially. But Zacchaeus, please let your question be in the comment section. I cannot call you again as you are. Our time is fast spent. Thank you. Rose, please go ahead.
I was asking, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, my question was on pricing. After I deal in poultry value chain, and sometimes you want to package your product in a way that is so attractive and also climate friendly, but then it's very costly. If you compare with the fellow competitors who are just doing it on a simpler way. So how can we still make profit and price fairly and also be relevant in the market, if that is sensible enough? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Rachel, would you want to answer this?
Thank you for the opportunity. I think what comes to mind is how different is your product from the other competition. If the client perceives your product to be the same as the others, then they will not be willing to pay more for your packaged product. But if you are bringing in something more, let's say, for instance, others are offering chicken breasts packaged. But if you bring in your chicken breasts with a small sachet of marinade on the side, then you're bringing more, okay? And in your more, you can then justify the higher price, which is accompanying your package. So I think you need to think about things like those. So for example, in some of the restaurants, you find they offer spinach stuffed chicken breasts. Okay, that is obviously not for every market, but it's something that anyone looking at that who has the predilection to purchase something like that will be more likely to pay more, and then your packaging can be justified. And you also need to look at in which areas are those clients that are sensitive to packaging. It's not all areas. It's your upmarket areas, the people who travel more, who are more moneyed, are the ones that are more meticulous about how are we affecting the environment and so on and so on. So you need to be pitching your packaging according to the client that you are dealing with. You may not have the same packaging across the board. Some of your clients may not be economically able to fund that. So you then need to have a different strategy for the ones where the high-end packaging cannot be utilized. So I would look at, again, the possibility of the client coming with their own packaging so that it reduces their costs for them. Those are some of the things to consider. I hope that is adequate.
All right, thank you so much, Reggie. Thank you for all of the value that you have added, the impact that you have made, both through the video that you did before and this session. Thank you so much. This is well appreciated. So before we let our trainer go so that we can quickly do the portal walkthrough and other things, let's quickly take our photo for the day so that we'll have our facilitators in our photo. Please, let's quickly